Nigeria's biggest opposition party just had its most important presidential aspirant walk out the door. And yet, yesterday, the same party confirmed a 90 million naira nomination form payment, all on the same week. The ADC was supposed to be the coalition that finally stops Tinubu in 2027. Atiku, Peter Obi, Amaechi, Kwankwaso, El-Rufai, 5 big names, one party, one ticket. But here's the question nobody is asking out loud. When 5 people all believe they should be president, who blinks first? And if none of them blinks, what happens to Nigeria? Stay with me, because what's happening inside the ADC right now is the most consequential political story in Nigeria today, and most people are watching it like a drama instead of reading it like the power game it actually is. Before we go any deeper, if you are just finding Naijanewsfeed, welcome. This channel exists to break down what's really happening in Nigerian politics without the noise, without the spin, without the tribalism. The only way I can keep making content like this is if you subscribe. It takes 2 seconds, it costs you nothing, and it genuinely helps me grow this channel and do more of this work. Hit that subscribe button right now and stay with me, because this one gets very interesting. Let's go back to where this started. July 2, 2025. A group of some of the heaviest names in Nigerian political history walked into the Yaradua Center in Abuja. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Anambra Governor Peter Obi, former Rivers Governor Rotimi Amaechi, former Senate President David Mark, former Kaduna Governor Nasir El-Rufai, former Interior Minister Rauf Aregbesola. They had one shared objective: stop President Bola Tinubu from winning a second term in 2027. The vehicle they chose, the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, a party that has existed since 2005 but had never won a presidential election. Why the ADC? Because the big parties, PDP and Labour Party, were either captured, broken, or legally entangled. The ADC was clean, available, and legally sound. Ralph Nwosu, the ADC's long-standing chairman, stepped aside. David Mark came in as interim national chairman. The coalition was born, and the plan seemed to work. By early 2026, the opposition had more heavyweights under 1/10 man at any point since the merger that created the APC in 2013. But then, May 2026 arrived, and everything started to fracture. May 3rd, Peter Obi, who had only formally joined the ADC on January 1st, announced his resignation from the party, citing external interference, internal divisions, and growing mistrust. He and Kwankwaso picked up NDC, the Nigerian Democratic Congress, membership cards the same day. May 8th, Atiku paid 90 million naira for his ADC presidential nomination form. The very next day, the ADC confirmed it publicly. May 11th, Atiku is scheduled to formally present those forms at the ADC National Secretariat in Abuja. Rotimi Amaechi and Mohammed Hayatuddin have also obtained forms. The primary window, April 23rd to May 30th, 2026. The presidential election itself is fixed on January 16th, 2027. The clock is ticking. Now, let's understand the rules of the game because they matter here. INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, has set a strict timetable. Party primaries must be completed between April 23rd and May 30th, 2026. Miss that window and you cannot field a presidential candidate. More critically, May 10th, 2026 was the deadline for parties to submit their membership registers to INEC. This is why Obi's exit is more than just political drama. Anyone whose name is not on that register by that date cannot legally contest on any party's platform. That single provision changes the calculation for every defector. There is also the matter of leadership legitimacy. The ADC has been fighting a court battle over who actually controls the party. The Mark-led faction faced challenges in the Court of Appeal, which dismissed his case. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, which on April 30th, 2026, restored David Mark's leadership as national chairman, but only on procedural grounds. The underlying dispute was sent back to the trial court, so the legal question of who truly leads the ADC is still not fully resolved. This matters because whoever controls the party controls who gets the ticket.
This is where it gets real. And I want to be precise here, because a lot of people are still talking about this race as if it has 5 candidates. It doesn't, not inside the ADC. Peter Obi and Kwankwaso have both defected to the Nigeria Democratic Congress, the NDC. They are no longer in the ADC, so let's talk about who is actually in this race right now. The three confirmed ADC presidential aspirants who have paid and collected nomination forms are 1. Atiku Abubakar. He paid the 90 million naira nomination form on May 8, 2026, and the ADC confirmed it publicly, calling it a new chapter in Nigeria's democratic journey. Atiku is the Northeast's standard-bearer, a five-time presidential candidate with the deepest political machine in the coalition. He built this ADC coalition. He brought David Mark in as chairman, and because of that, he controls the architecture of the primary process. His argument to the party is simple: structure wins elections. He has the governors, the elites, the northern networks. His problem? He has now run for president so many times that even his base is showing fatigue. 2. Rotimi Amaechi. The nomination form was collected on his behalf on May 8 at the ADC National Secretariat by a delegation led by former Edo Governor John Odiji Oyegun. That detail matters. Oyegun is the ADC's national leader and a symbol of the South-South establishment. Amaechi is the second aspirant to formally enter the ADC presidential contest. He has consistently argued for reforms centered on security, economic development, infrastructure, youth inclusion, and power rotation to the southern region. His pitch is that he is not a regional candidate, he is the only bridge. He finished second to Tinubu in the 2022 APC presidential primaries. He knows how the machinery works from the inside, and he has been loudly insisting on a direct primary, not consensus, because consensus almost certainly favors Atiku. There is also the contested question of his South-South base. John Odiji Oyegun said leaders of the ADC in the South-South gave Amaechi unanimous support after he formally declared his intention to contest, but the South-South Zonal Publicity Secretary, Mabel Obon, issued a counter-statement describing those reports as misleading and undemocratic, stressing that no motion was moved, no resolution adopted, no vote taken, and no consensus reached on supporting any aspirant, saying, "Consultation is not endorsement and courtesy is not coronation." So even Amaechi's home base is divided. That is the kind of internal drama that costs votes in a primary. 3. Mohammed Hayatuddin. The renowned economist and politician was the first presidential aspirant to formally pick the ADC nomination form, making him the early mover in this race. He is not a career politician in the traditional sense. He is a banker, an institution builder, someone who has spent decades in economic and financial governance. His stated priorities are massive job creation, reducing the cost of living, tackling insecurity, and reducing poverty by at least 60% within 4 years. He is the wild card. He doesn't have the machinery of Atiku or the structural ambition of Amaechi, but he has shown discipline, early organization, and a policy-first message that could resonate with Nigerians exhausted by the old faces. Now, here's the real power calculation under all of this. Atiku controls the party machine. He assembled this coalition. He has the delegates. The ticket, as things stand, leans his way structurally. That is exactly why Amaechi is loudly calling for a direct primary, because in a delegate-driven or consensus-driven process, Atiku's financial and structural leverage wins almost automatically. Amaechi needs the broadest possible vote, and Hayatuddin needs the party to conclude that neither Atiku nor Amaechi can win a general election and that a credible technocrat is the answer. The tension between these three men and how the ADC resolves it before May 30th will determine whether this party is a real threat to President Tinubu or just another opposition vehicle that implodes before it reaches the starting line.
Let's zoom out. If the ADC manages to hold together and produce a single strong candidate, Nigeria will see its most competitive presidential election since 2015. That is genuinely healthy for democracy. But if the coalition continues to fracture, Obi on NDC, Kwankwaso on NDC, Atiku on ADC, and Amaechi also in the mix, the opposition vote splits again. And a split opposition vote is Tinubu's most powerful weapon. For ordinary Nigerians, this matters Because 2027 is essentially a referendum on the Tinubu administration, on the removal of the fuel subsidy, on naira devaluation, on the cost of living crisis that has pushed millions deeper into poverty. People want an alternative, but an alternative divided against itself is no alternative at all. There are also ethnic and regional tensions baked into this race. The North argues it is owed power. The Southeast argues it has never produced a president. The South-South is watching. Every ticket combination carries a message and a risk. Let's deal with what people are getting wrong. Misconception 1. The ADC is finished. No. As of today, Atiku has paid his 90 million naira nomination form. Amaechi has paid. The party is insisting it will field candidates. The ADC's National Publicity Secretary has specifically called claims of the party collapsing unfounded and mischievous. The party has David Mark at the helm with a Supreme Court-backed mandate. It is wounded, it is not dead. Misconception 2. Peter Obi leaving means the opposition is over. Peter Obi is consequential, but he is not the whole story. The question now is whether NDC, a far smaller party, can give him and Kwankwaso the legal platform they need before INEC's registration deadlines close the door. Misconception 3. This is all about egos. Partly yes, but there is also a genuine ideological and structural disagreement here. Obi's model of politics, youth-driven, social media-powered, mass mobilization without money, is fundamentally different from Atiku's model, which is built on elite consensus, northern structure, and governor-level support. These are two different theories of how you win a Nigerian election. The argument is real, even if the personalities make it personal. The strongest argument for consensus. A united ADC ticket, even an imperfect one, is mathematically more dangerous to APC than two separate candidacies. That is simply true. The question is whether Nigerian politicians can place mathematics above ego. History suggests they cannot, but history has also been wrong before. Here is what to watch for. Immediate. The ADC primary window closes May 30th. Whatever happens, it happens within the next 3 weeks. Watch whether Peter Obi and Kwankwaso formally register with NDC before that window closes. That will tell you whether they plan to run independently or are still leaving a door open. Short term, watch Seyi Makinde. The Oyo governor is positioning himself as a PDP-ADC bridge. An Atiku Makinde ticket would be the opposition's strongest structural offering. If Makinde publicly endorses, the ADC's southern flank is partially restored. Best case scenario, a consensus emerges. Obi and Atiku agree, possibly on a power-sharing arrangement rather than a formal ticket, and both mobilize their bases for a unified candidate. Unlikely, but not impossible. Worst case scenario, Atiku on ADC, Obi on NDC, Kwankwaso running separately, the vote splits 3 ways, and Tinubu wins his second term with less than 40% of the national vote. Nigeria gets 4 more years of a government elected without majority support. Long term, if the opposition fails again in 2027 through self-inflicted fragmentation, it will trigger a serious conversation about whether Nigerian opposition politics needs structural reform, not just new faces, but new rules, new incentives, and possibly a new way of building coalitions. The pattern is clear. The question is whether the players are ready to break it. We opened with a question. When 5 people all believe they should be president, who blinks first? Here's the honest answer as of today. Nobody has blinked. Atiku is paying forms, Amaechi is paying forms, the ADC is holding on, and the clock is running down. Nigeria has been here before. 2023 was supposed to be the year the opposition got it right. It wasn't. Whether 2027 is different depends entirely on whether these leaders can do something Nigerian politics has almost never produced, an ego sacrifice for a collective outcome. My assessment? Watch the next 3 weeks. If there is no movement towards unification by May 30th, the 2027 opposition story is already written, and the winner is not among those paying 90 million naira forms. If this breakdown gave you clarity on what is really going on, do me a favor. Share it with one person who needs to understand this. The only way this channel grows and I can keep making these breakdowns is if you help me reach more people. Subscribe to Naijanewsfeed if you haven't already. Every subscriber is a direct vote for more of this content. Like the video, drop your take in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp.